Oh no, I don't want to connect to the cloud. I don't know what I just did. Apparently I am recording to the cloud. I don't know what that means. There's clouds up there. It's a rainbow meditation. There's a cloud at the end. So there's that. Okay, so I am Danielle Porter. If you do not know me and you're watching the recording, I am a health and wellness coach and a nutrition counselor. And so I was exposed to this rainbow meditation last week. And as we all know, everything in our world is insane. Oh, yeah, good. More people are popping on now. Everything in our world is a little chaotic right now. Just it feels like we were talking yesterday in church, the illustration of the rains and the floods and the wind. And sometimes it just feels like this space that we've been living in for the last couple of months has felt really, really chaotic. And I began, like many, many people, I imagine, last week feeling chaos inside and outside, and just could not feel like my feet were firmly planted on the ground. So on Wednesday, when this meditation was brought forward in our mindset group, for whatever reason, I'm going to attribute it to this because I felt like I finally, for once in the week, was present in my body and wasn't ping-ponging off everything, and just felt very grounded and very centered. I felt like I finally had clarity about what I wanted to say, how I wanted to proceed and move forward with my day, with my week, with my life, etc. And so I hope that bringing this to you guys will bring the same. I'm not going to tell you how to feel throughout any of this. It's actually really, really important that you lean into how you feel and just start noticing where you are right now. And then, you know, the idea, it's this visual illustration. And here in Hawaii, rainbows are obviously a thing. It's the rainbow state. So we see rainbows all the time. It's this crested arc. Sometimes there's two, I've seen up to three all at once, but it starts at a point and it ends at a point. And so we're going to start where we are right now, no matter where that is, no matter if you feel good, you're like, oh no, actually I feel really great. Or maybe you don't feel very great and you feel like you need to transition to another side. But what I want you to do as we go through this is to notice where you are right now in your body and how you feel. And then at the end, don't worry about how you're feeling throughout it. At the end, again, notice where that bridge, the rainbow is an illustration of a bridge, but that bridge, where that's taken you. If anything has changed, again, I'm not going to tell you it has to change. I think sometimes my journey of meditation has been really hindered by me trying to force myself to feel a certain thing. Oh, I should feel peaceful. I should feel this. I should be, and like I grip and I hold on and I just desperately want to feel that instead of just being present. And that's really what meditation is all about for me, is just being still. From a biblical standpoint, being still is, we're commanded to be still many times, many times. I'm not very good at it. I'm a very good doer. And so the practice of meditation has really helped me learn how to be still. I think that's a lost art today. So we're going to go ahead and get started, you guys. So first things first, if you're able to, I would encourage you to sit in a chair. You don't have to. I know Amanda and Quinn, you guys are laying on the floor. That's okay. But I will say a chair helps you feel supported and feel kind of upright. So if you're able to sit with your back up against something, that would be great. If not, that's all right too. But the first thing we're going to do is ground our feet. We're going to put our feet flat on the floor. So Amanda, I see you're sitting with your legs extended. If you can bend your knees, yeah, and put your feet flat on the floor, because we're working on something called grounding. So that means that no matter what else is going on around us, we know without a shadow of a doubt that our feet are firmly planted on the ground. You can wiggle your toes if that helps get you some presence of, okay, my feet are firmly planted on the ground. So the next thing we're going to do is find our hands. So often we don't know what to do with our hands, right? It's like, what do I do with my hands? So I want you to place them on your thighs if you're able to, or your knees. Wiggle your fingers and just kind of feel your hands firmly placed on your legs. If you're sitting up against something, I want you to feel where your back is. Press your back into the chair, press it into the side of whatever you're sitting up against. But what I want you to do is straighten your back and feel upright. So often we sit at a computer or we hunch down and we don't even realize we're doing it. And we hold all this tension in our neck and our shoulders and we don't even realize that it's there. So I want you to roll your shoulders back, open up your chest cavity here, and feel your lungs able to expand, because we're going to take some deep breaths. And so I want you to feel that your lungs are able to expand. When you're crouched over, it collapses that area that it can expand to. And the last thing, I want you to feel where the back of your head is. If it's not pressed up against the chair, that's okay. But if it has something to press up against, again, that's the idea that we're constantly hunched over and there's this shelf at the back of your neck. We want to intentionally straighten that. Okay. So first things first, if you're ready, I want you to close your eyes and just take a couple deep breaths in. Doesn't have to be forced. Don't force them. And I just want you to breathe deeply and exhale deeply. So all of it in and all of it out. I want you to understand that your breath doesn't just exist in your lungs. It obviously, biologically, your breath is in your lungs, but we all know if you place your hand on your belly, you can feel your body expand and contract with each breath in and each breath out. And so it's important to breathe deep. Again, it's that same principle of sitting upright. We often don't even realize we're not breathing deep. The weight of everything is pressing up against us and collapsing our breath, and we want to expand it because we're in the business of growth, right? We want to grow as people, we want to grow as mothers, we want to grow as women, as girls, and so we want to always be on a journey of growth. And so closing your eyes, breathing really deep, I want you to notice your breath. Breathe in and out of your nose, and I want you to feel, if you can, the breath going in and out of your nose. So if it's, you can feel the air kind of tickle your upper lip maybe, or you can feel it on your nostrils, but just notice your breath. And I would love for you to place a hand on your belly, like one of them can stay on your thigh, but the other one, put it on your belly and feel your belly expand and contract with every breath in. And every breath out. And that expansion and contraction is going to become a really big thing as we go through this meditation. I want you to be able to be present and aware of that so that you know when things are expanding and when they're contracting. And you know, it's another concept through meditation is you know when you're triggered because your breath shortens and gets very short and clipped. So if you notice your breath getting short and clipped, just take note of it. Don't try to force it into a different pattern, but take notice of it and realign it gradually with a slower, more rhythmic pattern. Our bodies want to be in rhythm. Our bodies were built for rhythm. That's why when you feel the music, they talk about feeling the music, you can feel the rhythm in your body. And I think of when I held my babies, and it even still, if a mama is around me rocking a baby, I'll notice myself start to sway back and forth. It's involuntary. I don't even know that I'm doing it. It's because our bodies were built for rhythm. There's so much based around rhythm. So this meditation is going to have a rhythmic element to it as well. But I want you to play, when you have your hand on your belly, feel the rhythm of the in and out and in and out. So we're going to start with the rainbow. We all know the colors of the rainbow. So each quadrant, or not quadrant isn't the right word, but each space in our body is going to have a different color. And we're going to start with the color red. So red is going to be our safety zone. This meditation is based off of chakras. I don't know that I personally believe in chakras, but I do love the illustration inside of our bodies and the way that this progresses with the colors. And I feel like it's really a helpful illustration as you move through time and space to notice these things and become present within yourself. So like I said, we're going to start with the color red. It's our safety center. So we're going to bring our attention with your eyes closed and just normal breathing. Bring your attention to your sits bone, your pelvis. Um, as women, our pelvis changes and shifts over time, but it's this bowl and cup-like thing that we're all sitting on right now. And the color red illustrates blood. It illustrates life. That's where our life began, in our mother's pelvis, and so that's how we were born. And so the color red is very deeply attached there. So I want you to swirl, just have that, the red color sitting right there, and you're going to have that color swirl in a circular motion. Fill up that pelvic cavity in your mind with the color red. So everything pretty much from your belly button down is going to be swirling circularly with the color red.
I was going to show you what came. My Lego.
I'm so sorry about that. And so we're going to have this color red swirling in a circular motion, filling up our pelvic cavity. And so as we notice that, again, that's our safety area. That's where we're going to be grounded and centered on. That's where, as we're sitting, we are grounded and centered safely in a seat, being held. And we're moving up from there to the second place, the place of creativity. So this is our belly, our really from our stomach area down to our, right below your belly button where the red has been swirling. Kind of like internally visualize that color swirling up until it turns orange and fills your belly area. So they call this the creative zone, and they say that because this is where life is created. We are all women in here, so we know that our womb is where life begins. It's the power that we have to make something we've created. It is represented by the color orange. So having that red spiral up gradually and change into orange in the space of your belly is really important here. So often as women, we are focused on having our belly areas small, and even in the health and wellness realm, we understand that. We're, maybe working on a health and fitness goal, something like that, and that's so centered around making our belly small. But remember, when we create something, when we created life within us, that belly expanded. So I want you to physically expand your belly. A lot of times it's in that subconscious zone where we don't even know that we're holding it in. We're, sucking it in, and we don't even realize it in an effort to make ourselves small. This is not about making ourselves small. This is about taking up space. This is about giving yourself the freedom to create, whatever that create is going to be, whether that's in your job or in your home or in a project, but giving yourself the freedom to create. And so often when we, again, like our lungs, when we hunch down and we collectively just pull inward, we aren't able to create anything new. And so I want you to consciously expand your belly. Breathing deep. So here's where we expand to create something. So let the color orange expand and fill all of your belly area, don't hold it in anywhere, just let it fill that space up, however big, however small. Nothing new and creative can grow if you're holding it all in. So be sure when you're exhaling, you're expanding and letting all of that breath out. So our third color is yellow, and this is the fire zone. It's when somebody says they have a fire, they have a passion for something. This is where I want you to visualize that fire and passion being. And I feel like you can already see it inside of yourself. It's right there in that solar plexus above your belly, where your chest and your belly connect. That's your fire. And so that color is yellow. So have that orange spiral up into the color yellow. You're really wanting it to fill that solar plexus cavity. And using the illustration of fire here, and connecting that to world events right now, I feel like from my interpretation of what's going on in the world, there's a wildfire, right? It's just a wildfire burning, and a wildfire is uncomfortable. It feels out of control. It feels loud. It feels scary. It feels like everything that was safe and right is not safe and right anymore. But I would encourage you to think about the controlled burns on the prairies in Kansas when I lived there. And if you've ever lived in the Midwest, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The farmers set fire to their fields in an effort to kill off what is old, to kill off what is dead, and to give space for rebirth and regrowth. Seeing a wildfire in action and seeing a controlled burn in action are two very different experiences. Controlled burns feel safe. They feel right. They feel like this is what's supposed to happen so that we can grow new life, so that we can grow a new and different way of doing things. And so I want you to, as you're allowing those colors to swirl circularly, I want you to picture that kind of as a fire building within you. Where is your fire? How does your fire feel? Does your fire feel wildfire, out of control? Does it feel like a controlled burn? Or does in some way it feels like your fire has gone out? Like maybe someone has just put a snuffer on top of it and just completely extinguished your fire. I would call you to reignite that fire, to find where that passion lied initially and to amp up and stoke that fire. Do things that fill you up and stoke that fire so that you can burn off the old and welcome in the new growth. But allowing that to fill up that solar plexus area, allowing it to swirl still. As we transition into the next color, we're going to bring in the color green. So I would ask you to just invite the color green, bring it up through that color yellow, allowing it to swirl and continue to build. So yellow goes into the color green, as we know, primary and secondary colors. So that's how that color green is filled. And that's going to be your chest cavity. That's going to be your heart. So as you allow that color yellow to continue to swirl up into your chest, into your heart. So often as women, we give and give and give without receiving. So in yoga, they talk about the back of the heart. So we all know that our core is not just our abdomen. Our core is not just our front. Our core extends in a cylinder around our body. And so I would call you to breathe into what they call the back of the heart. That's where you receive, metaphorically, you receive. And so often we try to receive from external circumstances, from external people, from social media. We try to fill ourselves with all of that in an effort to feel filled up. And that is an empty, empty hole. And so you cannot fill from external. You have to fill from within. So for me, that's God or Jesus, but I would call you to find your source of filling, and know that if you continue to seek outside of an internal source, you will never find fulfillment there. It just doesn't exist. It's an illusion. It's kind of like that oasis in the desert where you think you're running and you're running because you're so thirsty, and you get there and it's just sand. So knowing that the water of life is really where you're going to get your fill up. And so I would call you to bring that color green in. And green is new life, right? We think of the color green as this birth. Colors have meaning. And so, especially in the graphic design world where, kind of my career started, green is always given to new birth and growth. And so all of that new birth and growth from that fire that you've stoked in a controlled way, all of that new birth is going to come through in bright, vivid green. And so continuing that swirl, and I'll kind of pause here and I'll ask you to reflect on the swirl coming up from the source. Like we're gonna just put a little pin in this right now and allow those colors to continue to swirl. But I want you to notice before we move forward, which direction that swirl is flowing. Is your swirl going clockwise or counterclockwise? Is it going up and down? Is it undulating? If it's not going clockwise already, I would invite you to kind of manually adjust, if you will, and ask that swirl to start flowing clockwise. In my mind's eye, I feel like I go down and I just kind of twirl the water. If you've ever twirled water in a circle with your finger, I want you to just twirl it the other way. Twirl it clockwise. Don't twirl it counterclockwise. The idea is that we're moving forward in time, not backwards in time. So sometimes it takes a minute for that clockwise swirl to get back up to our heart center where we are right now. So allow it just a minute to kind of swirl clockwise if it wasn't already going that direction, but get it going clockwise so that we can move forward through any kind of pain or struggle or anything that we were experiencing even 10 minutes ago. We're going to move forward from that. We're going to forgive and we're going to let go and we're going to move forward in a new and positive direction. So, and as we bring in the fifth color, we're going to continue to move up our body. So after our heart and our chest comes our neck. And our neck is where our voice lies and our throat. So we're going to spiral that color green up into the color blue. And so we know that green is made up of yellow and blue. And so it's very natural for that green just to shift into a bright, vivid, dense blue. It's not a dark blue. It's not an airy blue, but a bright, cobalt, densely colored blue. So in our throat, I feel like in the last couple of months or so, some of us maybe have lost our voice. Maybe we don't feel like we know what to say anymore, how to proceed. Sometimes the voices around us seem so loud. And so it forces us into quietness. And other times we're the loud voice. We're the yellers. We're the screamers. We're the ones who don't feel heard. But if you've ever been around anyone who has a quiet confidence about them, they don't yell. They don't yell and they don't whisper. They speak with authority and they speak with confidence because they have found their voice. And so what I would invite you to do is to really sink into, have you found your voice? If not, I would ask that that be a part of your prayer, that you find your voice, that you know what to say, and say it with confidence. And so as that swirl is happening, here in Hawaii, water is such a huge thing, and obviously water is blue, and so I'm going to make that natural connection. Salt water specifically, I have found is incredibly healing. I feel like no matter if I have a scrape or a cut or a boo-boo or sore muscles, just being in the water, in the ocean, is a very healing experience. And so I would invite you, as you're picturing this color blue that's swirling, to make that a healing water of blue. So if your voice needs some healing, if you feel like that's a broken piece of yourself, that you would just allow that healing to take place, allow the cleansing to go through and take out any of the old, flush it out as that color is swirling in your mind's eye. Just allow it to take out anything that is broken and that is not serving you, and to pour in things that are whole and that are healing and that are serving you, so that you can regain the power of your voice. So our sixth color is the color purple. So again, with color theory here, we know that blue very naturally transitions into purple. And so as it comes out of your throat, up into your face, up into what in yoga they call it the third eye, but you know, it's just that space between, at the top of your nose where your two eyes connect. There's a lot of people that believe that your two outward eyes are what's looking out, and the one in the middle is looking inwardly. It's the eye of knowing, is what they call that. And some people believe that it's your internal eye. For me, that's just that internal sense of knowing what is right. And so allowing that color blue to kind of swirl up in that clockwise motion into that area of your third eye, have it fill your head, your whole head, with that purple, bright, royal color. Knowing that you have the answers within you. Again, I think so often, like when we talked about the heart center, we're looking for something else to fill us. We're looking for answers from everyone else. But when we can get quiet and we can get still and we can plug into being present in this moment in our bodies, we know the answers, right? We know what is right. You know that was put into you. And so knowing what is right, you know then how to proceed forward. You know that it's not going to be external. It's going to be that internal compass, that spirit guiding you to what is right, what is truth. Holding on to that. Again, that's just that color purple that flowed out of that blue. And so lastly, we arrive at the top of our head, which is the crown. So at the end of the rainbow, as kind of to reflect all the way back down, we go back down to the core, down to the red, and swirl up through the orange and the yellow and the green and the blue and the purple. We've arrived at the top of our head, and that's the bright white light that exists there. That is both pouring in light. So again, kind of a silly visual illustration, but I'd ask you to visually or to internally picture kind of it just opening up the top of your head in a circular way to allow light, pure, unfiltered, radiant light to pour into you. Just asking, again, that for me, that's God. So I ask God to pour in his spirit, to pour in his light to me so that I can then reflect his light to others. Maybe you don't have a connection to God and maybe it's source or energy or whatever. Just ask for that light to be poured into you so that you are able to pour out that same unfiltered truth of light into other people. So the next thing I want you to do is to metaphorically place a crown on top of your head. We're all women in this environment, so I feel like this is a perfect place for us to put our queen's crown on. So allow that crown to sit around that openness, that light that's coming in and both flowing in and out your connection there. Sit that crown on top of your head. Readjust your shoulders if they've hunched at all. Sit up, knowing that you have all of that power within you to sit as regally as a queen would sit. Just not a demonstrative queen that puts people down, but someone who is confident and knows that she has power and that she doesn't need to, again, receive that from external sources, that external sources don't give us power, that power is internal. That power is something that was given to us, that we were graced with. And so I want you to keep that crown on, even as we transition out of this meditation. Keep that crown on all of the rest of today, all of tomorrow, and your days going forward, to sovereignly know that if you are present within yourself and you're mindful about what's going on, and you control that fire burn, and you don't let it get to be a wildfire, and you don't let it get tamped out either, or you have that power in your voice to speak confidently in authority and to know truth, the inner knowing, the knowing with a capital K, that crown can sit and not fall, and that you can sit in your power. So I want you to take a big inhale in, a big confident, knowing inhale in. I want you to feel held, whether that's by the chair, whether that's by the floor, wherever you're sitting. I want you to readjust, put your hands back on your thighs, wiggle your fingers, let your body know that your hands are there. Make sure those feet are firmly planted on the ground. Wiggle your toes, bring some feeling back in there. We've moved so far up our body that we've forgotten that we even have toes. So wiggle them. Say hi to your toes. Blink your eyes open, and as you're blinking them open, I want you to take note of any changes that have gone through in your body. If you feel any change at all, again, I don't want you to fake a change. I don't want you to feel like you have to be like, oh, Danielle, that was amazing. Sometimes I finish a meditation, I'm like, okay, I just have that quiet confidence of knowing I'm ready to begin now, kind of thing. So thank you guys. I hope that this was beneficial for you guys. I will have the recording. I don't know where it's going other than to the cloud. I will unmute you guys as well, or you can unmute yourself, but does anybody want to share any takeaways? You can unmute yourself. Quinny, you saw some colors. Like,
Did you see some
how was your experience?
Did you like it? Yeah. Yeah. Feel very well.
Wow. So, and that was a guided meditation. There's, and if you're new to meditation, there's guided and unguided. Unguided is much quieter. No one's like talking through the whole thing. A guided meditation is helping. For me, guided meditation is really helpful because I have squirrel brain. And so if you give me too much quiet, I'm like, ooh, what's on my to-do list? And I need to go grocery shopping. And ooh, is there a coupon for ground beef? Like, it's a whole squirrel race in there. So guided meditations are really helpful for me. You can always Google them. There's a ton on YouTube. I can give you this one if you want to redo it. I'll have to edit out where my kids came in to scream about their Legos to me. So like, get out.
I was like, we're all on mute. Where did that come from? I didn't realize it was them.
Sorry.
Well, I was getting on and I was like, scramble, scramble, hurry to mute. And I was like, okay, good. I'm already muted.
I'm so glad you joined us, Cynthia. You guys, I don't think y'all have met Cynthia yet. She's one of our newer coaches. And she's in our boot camp.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really good. I enjoyed that. I don't think I could do like an unguided meditation because I'm with you. I'll either go to like my grocery list or like to-do list, or I might just fall asleep if I'm quiet.
Have you done much meditation before?
No, only I've just done a few, actual yoga classes, which feel, a lot like meditation as well. So I love that. So.
Yeah, the girl who led this one is a kids yoga instructor. And so she leads it for like the colors through it for kids specifically. But when she led it for us, and I feel like there's like the extremes of meditation. It's like a very like energy, chakra, yoga, like kind of woo-woo-y thing. And that's a little too much for me.
Yeah.
Then there's like the kids very just like, if you've ever done my kids' favorite is Cosmic Kids Yoga. And so it's these like body movements through story. Again, it's on YouTube. And so there's like the two extremes. Not like that, but I feel like I need a little bit more, but not total woo-woo. So,
Yeah.
I should probably stop calling it woo-woo because I think that's probably offensive to people who like are into yoga and stuff like that. Sorry, but we can be real here, right? So.
We listen to a lot of kids' bedtime meditation.
We do not.
You don't, it is, and it is.
It's not.
I know you don't think it is, but it's nice. It's like stories. But it does help the girls to fall asleep.
Yes, we I don't know. I have several yoga or meditation apps. My favorite right now is Insight Timer. That's got a lot of really good stuff on it. But we've used Heads Up before, and I feel like Heads Up was the one that had a bunch of kids meditations on it too. But Insight Timer does too, and Insight Timer is free. So it's cool.
There's a thing on Spotify called was it Bedtime Explorers?
Yeah.
And that's really good. There's they have like Under the Sea.
Oh, nice.
What other ones do they have? Butterfly. They do some animals, dinosaurs. But it's nice.
And that's on Spotify?
Yeah.
I'll have
About
to.
what did the kids explore, and it's nice.